think, are we doing Q&A? Yeah, the floor is yours.
So what do you think is the biggest obstacle to culture change that you've encountered?
School. Because from the age of 5, you're told the expertise is out there. You have to sit and listen. I'm going to teach you the same way I'm teaching everybody in the class, either as introverts, extroverts, people that learn by doing, people listening, people by talking. So I'm put you straight into Sir Ken Robinson, who has the most watched TED Talk ever. I think it's about 68 million now or something. Would say that when you arrive at school, about 87% of children are creative. By the time they leave school, it's about 8%. How are we meant to change? So for me, schooling goes back to the Greek schole, to put into. So the expertise is out there. You're going to learn it and you're going to regurgitate it when I want, how I want, where I want. It's complete nonsense.
So where does that leave us if we're trying to bring about culture change with people who have been through an education system that programs them to think like that?
With great difficulty. As we can see from society today, who's the only person you can change?
Yourself.
Correct. Job done. You change yourself, you'll affect your children, you'll affect your partner, you'll affect your team. The only person you can change is yourself. You can't ask anybody else to change. And you have to take that responsibility. Because it is your responsibility. But it's tough because most parents, if you look at Gabor Mate's videos, he will talk about, and I'm the same as he was, you will be trained not to go to your kids in the middle of the night that are screaming because they need to learn to sleep. The child wants compassion. All this IQ stuff's crap. It's not healthy. I mean, you can feel it in the room. Just feel the room just now. Feel that? That's what it's about. Imagine this as a classroom. Any other questions?
You said when you have one foul apple in the forum, the whole forum is going to be affected and infected, which is a non-linear relationship. Would you also agree that if you have one or more persons who work together, that the outcome of that forum is also non-linear, i.e. more than you put into it?
Absolutely, it's synergistic, where 1 + 1 = 5, 10, 50. Because that's how humanity works. That's when you use your whole brain, that's when you use the whole community. That's what animals do. I work with horses. I lived in Australia for 9 months working with a herd of 15 wild horses because they hadn't been humanized. And we heal people with PTSD and other things because what the horse does as a herd animal, it will only come near you if you are in a coherent state. So the herd actually takes responsibility to make you coherent. And what it does is it creates psychological safety that people with PTSD can actually talk in a way that they've never ever spoken before, and therefore get things out. And one of the key books is Gabor Mate's book, When the Body Says No. 95% of all ill health is basically because of your childhood and your upbringing, because it's about situation. When I was at college back in the early 70s, they talked about nature-nurture being like 50-50. It's about 95-5 because it's your situation. We all have cancerous cells, but they'll only get triggered if we're in a stressful situation. So situation is the key. So relationships, where you work, all of those things, getting back to happiness, that's the key. So for my son, where I had great difficulty with my ex-wife, where if he was walking along a wall, she would say, be careful and not fall off. Now, the brain only hears fall off. The brain doesn't sort of compute the negative. So then he falls off and then she goes, told you so. I'll say Rai, named after Rai Kudur, the musician with the greatest integrity I know. I'll say, focus on the end, keep your balance, you can do it. He's an entrepreneur. He set up Unmind, which is probably UK's leading mental health business based in London, because he won't fit in, because he'll do it differently. Now that's not to say I had to go and see his headmistress on 2 occasions, because he would, with a poor teacher, he's bright and took risks. He would upset the teacher that he'd get barred, and I would get this form saying, how is your child going to change his behaviour? And nowhere on that form was there anywhere where the teacher had to change their behaviour. So I went to the headmistress and said, until this form has two aspects to it, because this is a relationship, I'm not signing your form, no matter what he does. I don't care, because you're saying the kid's guilty 100% of the time. On your bike. Anything else? Or?
I would love to add to that as well.
That was a really good question, and in terms of an operational standpoint with the forum, how this works is that we make sure, number one, all the members beforehand are strategically mapped to add value to who you are. So professionally, they're either individuals running businesses or managing teams of a similar size, either with portfolios or turnovers in a similar bracket. So there's a lot of mutual understanding and respect that you have, A, for somebody as a professional, and part two being as a human being. The forum structure is also put in such a way that you ask people that if I am giving 3 to 4 hours of my valuable time every month, you expect some amount of decorum, some amount of preparation, and some amount of punctuality. And the structure as well, as Les was kind of going through, one of the things is that 5% update that you have in a forum. If you do not prepare for it, the beauty is that yes, while another person's participation may somewhat affect the forum dynamics, the forum is structured so beautifully that what you put in, you get out of. So if that individual has not taken time to prepare or present or address or talk about a particular subject, whether it's a problem or an opportunity, anybody losing out is them to start with. After that, you have certain processes where the moderator steps in and takes a role. And then if you've got a group of 6 to 10 other intellectuals, you call bullshit out. You do not want to be the one to be called bullshit, right? So there are certain ways and degrees to which everybody has a certain reputation, everybody's been successful in doing what they do because they have certain integrity to it. But that being said, that both the character, the moderator, and finally the forum structure makes sure that you don't have any bad apples.
And if you do, you have to deal with it. Which is an issue, especially in spouse forums, where they don't like upsetting as much, generalisation. But also, I have a phrase that says the future's not female, but it is feminine. Just to finish briefly, out of Gabber's book, prescriptions come from the outside, transformation comes from within. Prescriptions assume that something needs to be fixed, transformation brings forth the healing. Forum.
Thank you so much, Les.